Hey guys, this is Jonty for our fifth episode of Understanding with Jonty. And today I want to talk to you about something I just recently discovered a few days ago. This little glitch we have in our human OS, if you will. It kind of came to light as I attended our Friday prayers, our Friday prayer service at our local masjid, at our local mosque. And I thought it was interesting. And I thought then it became even more interesting when I realized this is a much larger problem. It's a glitch that just doesn't affect the Muslim community. It affects the broader American society. And so I just had to share it with you guys. Since the October 7th attacks, a large percentage of Friday sermons have addressed the issue of the Palestinians and their rights and oppression, etc. With the exception of a handful of them, most really spend a considerable amount of time blaming Israel, blaming the West, blaming America, blaming the Arab countries, blaming somebody. And at the end, we end up raising our hands and praying to God to fix this problem, to solve this problem for us. And I realized this is wrong. It's all wrong. How we're processing this, how we're looking at it. I'm not saying every person's wrong. Like I said, there have been some really decent ones, but there's this underlying thread, this underlying, like I say, kind of process in our operating system that hijacks our thinking, that diverts us from the best way to look at the situation and find a solution. So there are two reasons I say that this is wrong. So the first is, in Islam, we believe that everything happens for a reason, okay? That everything, either is presented to us from God or allowed to occur by God. And the second truism of Islam is that we're being tested. That all of this stuff that we're encountering in life is a test for us. And, how we respond to it is how we'll be judged. So the Palestinian issue, what's happening now there, I firmly believe, is a test for all of us. And we will be judged based on how we respond to that. And so, wallowing in self-pity, feeling a sense of injustice, to me, feels like ingratitude towards God. Feels like a denial of the very nature of life for us Muslims, which is to be tested. This is something we're promised. So, instead of blaming, like, this group did this, that group did that, and, waiting for them to fix it, and or just even, like I said, wallowing in self-pity at the injustice of it all, I think a better framing, a more appropriate framing would be, how do I respond to this situation? We're not expected to solve the problem. It's just in our own little way, how can we contribute to its improvement? And there are a lot of ways that we can accomplish this. And we all have some way. So we can have conversations with people. We can record a video and post it and have that conversation there. We can talk to our neighbors, our coworkers, our friends, our family. We all have that ability. And in America, fortunately, we have a political system where we can reach out to our representatives and, record a message, write a letter, whatever, express our concern with the status quo. We can donate money to organizations that are trying to improve the situation, whether that's kind of lobbying efforts or, just on the ground relief work. There are plenty of organizations that are trying to improve the situation for the Palestinians that we all, in some way have access to. There are some people who can create new organizations, maybe address an unmet need. There are people who, work in policy circles, who might have influence, might have the ear of politicians and policy leaders and political strategists that might be able to have even more influence, and cause a productive, positive change in this situation. So once we do these things, then I'm all for thoughts and prayers. I'm all for asking for God's help, but we have to do our part first. And I think that's what's missing. That's where I feel like there hasn't been enough of an emphasis. That's where I realized this glitch in our programming, this pointing fingers at someone else, waiting for someone else to solve it, or even just waiting for God to solve it. Like, God, hey, can you fix this for us? When really we do have the power to create change ourselves, and we haven't exhausted those options yet. So I've been talking about Islam and Muslims and, Islamic theology. I apologize for those who aren't Muslim, but I did say that there's a broader implication here for all of us. This glitch in our programming that I mentioned, it's not just a glitch within the Muslim community. It's a glitch within American society. And it's a glitch that's causing a lot of issues for us today. So if I'm being generous, I can pull on my studies in biology and evolution and medicine and say that, human beings, we like to conserve energy. And so, it is easier for us to point the finger and blame others and wait for them to fix it than it is to exert the effort ourselves. If I'm not being so generous, I could say we're being really lazy, that we don't want to sacrifice our time, our money, our effort in improving the situation for ourselves and for the broader society. Things are not the greatest right now. Housing has become very unaffordable. Cost of living has become very expensive. The media that's there to voice our concerns, they're not there. The media's not there. Politicians aren't there. And so as a society, how have we responded to this? For the most part, we've copied the example our politicians have set for us. People who lean liberal, who lean democratic, they look at the Republicans and they say, well, you guys are the problem. And, those people who are more conservative or lean Republican, they look at the liberals and the Democrats and say, hey, you guys are the problem. And, so there they are, sitting there in their righteous indignation, waiting for the guilty party to fix it. And again, this is the problem I saw attending our Friday sermons. There's this finger pointing, there's this blaming, there's this giving up of our autonomy, our power, and just waiting for somebody else to solve the problems for us when, we've completely missed the point that, what are we doing? What is each one of us doing to improve the situation? And again, there's plenty of things we can be doing. First of all, we can be educating ourselves on the issues. This, under normal circumstances, this wouldn't be our job. Our politicians would be explaining this to us. The media would be explaining this to us, but we live in strange times. And so this is something that's kind of on us now. We need to understand the issues. Why is there, inflation? Why don't we have the same kind of opportunities that our parents had? How does the political system work? How does business work? How does government work? All that stuff is stuff that we need to educate ourselves on. Talking to our neighbors, talking to those we disagree with. If we're Republican, have we had a conversation with a Democrat? If we're a Democrat, have we had a conversation with a Republican? Understanding the other and where they're coming from and why they hold the opinions they hold. Getting past the anger and the rhetoric, but really just, them as individual human beings. Why do they vote the way they vote? Why do they think the way they think? Have we explored our own animosity towards the other side? Is it founded? You know, or are we both being told lies? You know, each side sees that the other side is being misled, being duped, or acting like sheep. Well, if that's so, maybe there's some truth to each side, and maybe we're all being misled. At least that's the conclusion I've come to. I do believe like we are all being lied to and manipulated to further the interests of political parties, not to further the interests of our country as a whole. And that's basically what I want to share with everyone. You know, there are a lot of things that each one of us can be doing individually. You know, depending on our abilities, depending on our connections, depending on our roles in society. If we're in media, there's a much bigger role that you could be playing. If you're a political strategist, if you're a politician, there's a much bigger role that you can be playing. But for all of us, there are things we can be doing to better understand the situation, to not be lied to by either side, to not be manipulated and made to hate our fellow Americans. And it comes down to, like I said, this glitch in our programming where we would rather wait for somebody else to solve a problem, blame somebody else and wait for them to fix it, than try to do what little we ourselves can do. And it's causing us a lot of problems. Part of the problem is giving up our power, because when we do this, we feel powerless. We feel anxious. We feel angry. And that makes the problem worse, because, you know, we blame the other side, or, you know, we project our feelings towards someone else. And, you know, that, like I said, just exacerbates our problems. I want my power back, even if it means I have to maybe invest more time, more effort, maybe even money into solving this. I'm willing to do that if it means that I have that sense of power back. I'm part of the solution. I'm no longer a victim. I'm not saying this is easy, but I think it is the better alternative. And for me, I rather put in that effort so I can take back some of that, my power, my autonomy, my freedom, my sanity. But that's a question you have to ask for yourself. So let me know. Is it worth it for you? Is this something you're willing to do? Thanks for listening to my little rant today. I hope something here makes sense. Let me know. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. And looking forward to growing along with the rest of you. All right. Best wishes. Bye-bye.